Let's continue this discussion with former White House National Security Advisor under President Trump, Ambassador John Bolton. Ambassador, I know that you've taken issue with Secretary of State Antony Blinken portraying this as Putin showing weakness. Why do you believe that's not the case?
Well, I think Putin thinks that he's going to get away with this, as Russia has gotten away with so much recently, without any significant domestic political ramifications for Putin. Or any significant international ramifications. Just take the domestic side first. You can see he's arresting people who have gone out in the immediate aftermath of the death. I think the feeling in Russia is one of hopelessness at the moment. That's not to say Putin is totally secure, but he feels that he has the upper hand. Prigozhin is gone, Navalny is gone, and he feels himself in control. Internationally, it is certainly true that Western leaders have expressed their outrage over Putin's clear responsibility for Navalny's death. But let's also be clear, these leaders are good at expressing outrage, not so good on following up, like, for example, really enforcing and making Russia feel the pain from the sanctions that were enacted because of the invasion of Ukraine. And especially in the case of the United States, getting our act together and providing this assistance to Ukraine, which is not charity for them. It's in our security interest to do it. Maybe Navalny's death, tragically, will help motivate a few people.
And Navalny dies on Friday. Over the weekend, more than, 400 people arrested for being sympathetic to his death. What do you make of the timing? I mean, why take out Navalny now? And do you think we'll ever learn the true cause of death?
Well, as I say, I think Putin thinks he's on the upswing. He faces a presidential election in a couple of weeks. Not that there's really going to be much of an election. Putin will undoubtedly win overwhelmingly, but I think he just feels this is the moment. It may have had something to do with the fact that Navalny's wife was speaking at the Munich Security Conference. So it's definitely kind of a thumb in the eye by Putin to the widow and to the people there. So to me, this is just a further expression of his belief he's in a strong position.
The other thing I wanted to take your temperature on, over the weekend, Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council and former Russian president, had warned and threatened the United States, the UK, Germany with nukes this weekend if there were to be a Russian defeat. Should we take him seriously on that, Ambassador, or are you calling his bluff there?
Well, I think you always have to look seriously at what they've said, but in 2 years of nuclear bluffing, we have never seen any movement of Russia's nuclear capabilities. And I think it's part of the Russian strategy, along with the continuing threat of what the White House fears to be a wider war, that they have actually deterred the United States and deterred Europe. One reason the war is in gridlock now, why the Ukrainian spring offensive last year failed to gain much territory, is we have not approached our aid to Ukraine in a very strategic way. So it's a tragedy, and I think the Russians, again, they sense American weakness. They can see Donald Trump advocating them attacking NATO countries that don't spend adequately on defense. I think they think the moment now may come to break American and European resolve and bring Ukraine to a conclusion much more satisfactory to Russia.
And when it comes to the invasion in Ukraine over the weekend, we also saw Russia take over the strategic city of Avdiivka. I hope I'm saying that correctly. One, what's the significance of that? And two, what do you see happening next in this war as it nears its 2-year point?
Well, that particular city is potentially important for logistical purposes to help a Russian advance. It's been hotly fought over for really almost the entire 2 years of the war. So it is a success for Russia. I don't see Russia having the capability to break out here, however. But I do think if they can lower Ukrainian morale and just inspire in the West a feeling that Ukraine can't win and it may be time to cut a deal, for an American president facing a very difficult re-election this November, bringing at least one of the ongoing wars to a halt may look very appealing. I'm quite worried about not just the military situation, but Putin's overall confidence and really the political offensive he's waging internationally.
Ambassador John Bolton, as always, we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.